freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your recap episode for this week's Fortinet Championship, this week's BMW PGA Championship, this week's betting cards, everything we could possibly recap, we will do right now. Joining me to do just that, Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick, good day.
Gentlemen, more like good night. Little first cut after dark. Might get a little spicy. I don't know.
One event on the West Coast, and Patrick just cannot just function any farther.
I'm delusional.
Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Greg. Are you holding up better than Patrick is right now?
Well, I'd like to think so. But first cut after dark. I mean, you know what they say. Nothing good happens after 9 o'clock. So this is the hour where we'll see how it goes, but a lot of good stuff to talk about. What a week, on both sides of the pond, as they say. So pretty good stuff.
The witching hour, indeed. What are you going to do, Patrick, when what time are the Rome recaps going to be for you?
That's early, man. They're going the other way.
Oh, right. Because they're 9 hours ahead of West Coast time. So they're 6 hours ahead of East Coast time. So you'll just be doing it. Yeah, you'll be just doing it like early in the morning.
Yeah, I'd much rather prefer that.
Right. Yeah.
Hawaii is tough.
I'm gonna be sick.
He's off.
He's taking off
those. He's taking off those first 2 weeks.
You could go there.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Hey, we'll talk to the editor, Greg.
We'll see if we see if we have it in the budget to get Patrick to Maui for a couple weeks or to Hawaii.
Get on the time zone.
Yeah.
he's gotta acclimate to the time zone if you need any words from him.
Yeah.
Oh, gentlemen, Fortinet Championship is in the books, and we've got a new winner on the PGA Tour. His name, Sahith Theegala. He has broken through, and he has gotten it done. What did I read? His 77th PGA Tour start, and it was a pretty impressive, dare I say, dominating performance. Greg, he had the lead for all of Sunday, played from out in front for a long time in this championship, held it together when he needed to, and puts a trophy on his mantle for the first time.
And you think about what it's like having a 54-hole lead in a PGA Tour event when you start off, and especially someone like Sahith, who has been in the mix on a couple of occasions and experienced some heartbreaking losses, most notably at the Travelers and also in Phoenix. Those two stick out the most. Also came in second at the RSM last fall. But you think about what he does coming right out of the gate and rips a tee shot down there, 337 yards, and hits a wedge inside of 5 feet from 94 yards and makes birdie. And he gets himself off to the start that, I mean, you couldn't draw it up any better. Takes advantage of another wedge opportunity at number 4, although that one was much closer, and then makes birdie at number 5. And all of a sudden this tournament's wide open, which was great for him. And it allowed him to kind of play his game. He's really fun to watch because he plays a different style, right? He doesn't play the, I don't say any of these names in a begrudging way. They're great players, but you think of like the way a Sung Jae Im plays, and it's robotic. Colin Morikawa, it's robotic when they're playing their best golf. And Sahith's brand is totally different. He moves the ball around. It's a little wild at times. It's got more of a Spieth feel to it. And he's kind of been hard to figure out. Now, he's had times where he's been a great driver of the golf ball, times where he's been a great iron player. His short game spectacular. And the putter seems to go up and down too. It's like every area of his game is there. It's just a matter of whether or not he'll put it all together.
Yeah, putting it all together is what he did this week. 21 under par around Silverado. And Patrick, statistically, he was a 0 off the tee. He finished 18th in strokes gained approach, but did a ton of his work on and around the greens. 5 strokes around the green, 9 with the flat stick. That's 14 strokes gained in the short game category. So he was hooping everything he laid his eyes on.
I think Greg's assessment of kind of being like Jordan Spieth is spot on, and he's kind of a throwback player with the way he shapes the shots. He does not. I mean, you kind of look across the pond and you see Ludwig, who doesn't curve the ball at all. Contrast to him, who's moving it seems like 50 yards left to right off the tee just for fun. And so it's really impressive the way he got it done, especially with the Theegala family out there, all 35 strong, pumping them up. And I really look at his finish to the 2023 FedEx Cup, where he made bogey on the 72nd hole at the BMW Championship. He wasn't able to get all 4 major championship exemptions because he did not qualify for the Tour Championship. And he said this week that it's weighed on his mind, and for him to get his win, and this is a guy who has been, the guy. You think about sweeping those awards in college, 3-time All-American, absolute stud at Pepperdine. For him to finally break through, still only 25, super young. Everyone's saying it's going to be the first of many. There's no reason to suggest otherwise, but to get it done in California after that disappointment of missing out of the Tour Championship end of last year is really impressive, and to kind of solidify those 4 starts for next year is huge.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point there to dive into a little bit more, Greg, is, Sahith, when he came out at Pepperdine and had all these accolades and had that close call early. Remember, he went on that run where it was like Torrey and then Phoenix, or maybe it was in the opposite order, but like that run there. And it's not like we forgot about him since then, but there's just been a lot of new blood and everything else that's been going on in the game. Still 25 years old, still incredibly talented, and now has a lot more wiggle room in the schedule and everything that moves forward from here.
Right, which is it's a big deal. But you think about he leaves our minds for a little bit only because he's not in contention. But he did have a run where he had a cut streak going. I think it was leading on the PGA Tour before missing a couple in a row, which we talked about on Monday as well, Rick. And so it's a strange thing because he's not really a steady player when you watch him compete, even at his best. It's like I said, it's not that robotic, steady, automatic style. And so when you see a player like that not in contention, it looks like inconsistency. And it may be, but he doesn't have that straightforward game where you get the sense he's just completely locked in. But he knows how to put numbers on the scorecard, and he's continued working at it. And all of a sudden, here he is in a event with these are some pretty good players that are right behind him. I know it's not the strongest field, and we didn't expect to get really strong fields during the FedEx Fall, but you look at guys like Eric Cole and Cam Davis and Justin Thomas being there in the mix. You have a handful of really good players right near the top of this leaderboard that he's able to dominate. And I think that's a really good sign. And as he goes forward into those designated events next year, he'll feel like he can compete with those guys. And he probably did before this, but it's just that extra validation.
Yeah, I thought it was an impressive finish on Sunday, Patrick, because he did hit a couple of squirrely shots, specifically off the tee on that second 9, but he was able to just kind of right the ship. He was able to, fend off the kind of the ebbs and flows of that round and kind of keep his head and do plenty. I mean, it never really got close. It's going to end up being a 2-shot victory because he makes bogey on 18, but it never felt all that close.
Yeah, he had one hand on that trophy, it felt like, the entire day. The one, nervy shot for me was really the wedge into 10, where he short-sided himself, and then he compacted that error with the short miss and made bogey.
Yeah.
But the really big, if you want to call it a turning point or whatever, was the up and down on the par 5, where the chip wasn't fantastic. It rolled out just outside 10 feet, and he was able to bury that putt, keep his distance when S.H. Kim was coming along. Eric Cole had his chances as well. Cam Davis was kind of just doing weird stuff all day. I wasn't wasn't really sure what his deal was. But getting a birdie on that par 5 felt like he already had one hand on the trophy, and his second, took grasp there as well.
Here's a fun nugget. Because of the timing of when he came out in 2020 and obviously the COVID shutdown, he made his professional debut. The first event that he played as a professional was on the Outlaw Tour, the Outlaw Tour's Lone Tree Classic, because that was the only thing going on in June of 2020. He finished third. That is not usually where Haskins winners go. No, I love the Outlaw Tour, but that's not usually where you see them make their professional debut.
No, that is really funny. And then Pepperdine wins the national championship. Was that in 21 or did they win it in 2020?
I thought it was 2021 because I thought it was
the next year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he had left, and then kind of because of that shutdown, you didn't really see him.
Right.
So it was a very strange thing. I remember thinking, it's like, where is Theegala here? But that makes total sense. So it's been a unique career so far and very fun to watch. You love what happens with his family cheering him on. That is going to be quite a celebration tonight. So it's great for all of them. They got to be thrilled.
Right behind Sahith, you were kind of alluding to this here, Patrick. S.H. Kim, runner-up. Cam Davis, solo third. Eric Cole, solo fourth. Where do you want to go here? I'll throw this to you. Who do you want to talk about?
The Cole train. Give me the Cole train. Garrett Cole's little brother.
Eric Cole, 68, 66, 68, 70. Another high-end finish for the guy that will soon likely be crowned the Rookie of the Year, right? We're all in agreement on that?
You would think so. And gosh, it really felt like if he could have just made a lot more putts like he normally does, this was a perfect spot for him to pick off his first victory. Obviously, it went in the way of Theegala, but you look at the statistics here. First in tee to green, second in approach, third around the green. Didn't drive the ball great. He's not really a great driver, but 51st in putting. And the Eric Cole who kind of ran through the mini tours and every tournament this week or this year, it seemed like he didn't even take a break. He was gaining, it seemed like a stroke around, at least on the greens. And for him to kind of fall short with the putter in hand, we saw it today in particular with the short misses. He missed like 3 straight 5-ish footers on the back 9 there. After he made, somewhat of a charge there on the front 9, he was peppering flag sticks, just couldn't really convert a lot of his birdie chances. So it's been a great season for him. You think about him coming onto the scene at the Honda Classic out of nowhere, almost winning that tournament against Chris Kirk, and everything that has snowballed since. It's just been unbelievably impressive, making over $3 million for a mini tour legend. It's been a real life-changing season, and it's cool. We always get these young, right out of college guys who can win right away, and having a story like Eric Cole that's anything but that is awesome. It's just really cool to see.
Yeah, that's certainly a glow up the season he's had. Second this week in approach, fourth around the green, but a small negative with the flat stick. Greg, is really the shocking thing here. It probably wouldn't have gained 5 strokes putting, but it felt like he could have been in the mix and he was the guy that I thought was going to apply the pressure to Sahith. It never materialized.
Yeah, it looked like he was going too early. Getting a couple of birdies at 5 and 8 was nice. You thought he could make a move on the back 9, which was disappointing. I'll tell you, he could have gained 5 strokes putting. I wouldn't have been surprised. He's done that before, maybe not for the day, but over the totality of the week. He just never had a day where the flat stick got hot like it normally does. And this is something we talked about on Monday. Eric Cole has these, when you get to these kind of more generic courses from a statistical standpoint, like when you just look at the data and what the golf course demands, this one's a little more generic. And whenever we get into those situations, there are two keys to making a ton of birdies, and it's the iron play and the putter. And that's exactly what Eric Cole does. So in all of these events, he looks so good on paper. The cool thing is he's been able to step up and make it really worthwhile with strong finishes. I mean, he's a reliable player on the PGA Tour. And, Patrick used this word, which is true, mini tour legend. And that's usually, it means you're a great golfer, but it's usually not a great thing.
It's not necessarily a compliment.
No,
it's a backhanded compliment.
It's a backhanded compliment. You think of like, you make like a satire Twitter account on being a mini tour legend, right? like Club Pro guy.
Yeah.
Because there's this sense that it signifies you haven't made it.
Yeah. It's like the guy who has the most career minor league home runs. It's
right.
Like awesome, but also stinks.
Yeah. You have, records in the major leagues in any sport. And so many of the all-time career records come from longevity. And so, maybe it's not yards per carry, but if you run for 20 years and everybody else is averaging a 3-year career, you're going to accumulate a lot more yards than everybody else. But at the same time, the longevity is a asset. But when you're playing mini tours, you don't want to play that many. You don't want to play 50 mini tour events, let alone win over 50 mini tour events, because you want to advance. And it took him a really long time to get there, but I'm amazed with his ability to stay and stick with it. And then all of a sudden get the opportunity and look like he's been out here for 5 years, 10 years. He looks like he plays like a veteran. He looks like he belongs. And he's certainly proven that he does. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Eric Cole, and this very easily could have been a win for him.
Speaking of cut streaks, that is his 11th consecutive cut made. It is the 7th longest active streak. Any guesses on who has the longest active streak and what that number is?
I knew you were going to say that.
You knew I was going to do it, right?
I knew it. I was thinking, don't ask, because I don't know.
I got it.
Do you know it off the top of your head, or have you looked it up?
Xander Schauffele, 24.
It is Xander Schauffele, and you have disrespected him. It is 33.
Masters last year.
It's a ton.
Pretty good.
And the Masters, which is like everybody makes the cut.
I know.
Xander's at 33, Victor Hovland 27, Scotty Scheffler 25. Then there's a gap. Hatton and Jaeger at 13. Now Rory and Eric Cole at 11. Those are just PGA Tour events.
So here's the follow-up. Where did Scotty miss the cut in his last one?
It was it the one, was it Mexico? No, it was Houston.
No.
That was where the last time he didn't finish inside the top 12, right?
Yeah,
right?
I thought you had it with your first guess. It's
Mayakoba.
Spelled similar.
It's spelled similar to Mexico?
The beginning.
Memorial. Memphis.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah. I wouldn't classify Memphis and Mexico as similar. I guess ME is there.
ME, man.
He threw me off on that. Yeah, let's see. Missed the cut, yeah. And that was over a year ago. August of 2022. He missed the cut at TPC Southwind.
Yeah. But that's only because Cameron Smith stepped in his line on the putting green that week.
Oh, yes.
That's right. Let's talk quickly on Cam Davis here. Greg, Patrick was absolutely right that this was just kind of a bizarre Sunday. So he made, on Sunday alone, a double, 2 bogeys, 4 birdies, and an eagle. The eagle was one of the most ridiculous shots I've ever seen. He chipped in from like hard pan right next to a right next to the cart path that he was standing on. He just knocked it into the side of the hill and rolled it. Like, you could give him a bucket. I'm not sure he'd knock it within 2 feet, let alone knock it in.
You know, when you play in Scotland and you have the revetted face bunkers and the ball gets stuck near the back edge and guys are trying to figure out how to get steep enough to miss the back lip. Well, this was the same situation, but a cart path.
There you go. Josh is showing it on YouTube right now.
He's trying to decide if he wants to take relief, but there's a tree. You can see the base of the tree in the middle right of that picture.
His relief is to the right, which it would put him behind a tree. So he does not take relief. He just continues standing on the path and trying to take this one on.
And so he hits a bump and run through there, and it went into the hole with some speed, but not that much, right? It's not like it bounced up. I didn't think it bounced up in the air. So it was pretty good stuff after that. But it was just a wild day. Like the tee shot at 8 is just wild. He had so many wedge opportunities. And I mean, he lost 2 1/4 strokes approaching the green. And he had so many shots from 80 yards. I think he missed 4 greens with wedges in his hands.
Yeah.
You know, little wedges, 80, 90-yard wedge shots, which was definitely disappointing. So there's a couple ways to look at this round. That eagle is lucky in some amazing, and there's an element of luck in there. There's also a big element of just bad in here. But you look at this card, you wipe away a couple of the mistakes. He could have shot 66 very easily.
The problem, Patrick, is that miraculous chip in for eagle on 12 in the heat of the battle got him back to 1 over for the round. So it was like, this would have been nice if he was already, I don't know, 1 under, 2 under, something like that. Really applied the pressure here. It did not end up being as impactful as it could have been.
Yeah, it was just really loose all day. Like Greg said, the tee shot on 8 was kind of what are you doing type of moment, and too little too late. Nice finish there at the end. To lose 2.5 strokes on approach and shoot 2 under is pretty ridiculous. But when I look at this leaderboard, I think it could be a sign of things to come for this FedEx Cup fall. At the beginning of the week, you had 6 guys who sort of playing with house money. They finished inside the top 50 in the FedEx Cup. Theegala, Davis, Coltrane, Brendan Todd, Max Homa. All these guys are inside the top 7, and I just think that could be really what the rest of these events will look like, where I don't know if there's a huge gap between the top 50 and everyone else, but it might be more than I think, honestly.
It's an interesting hypothesis because you could look at this a couple of ways, Greg. It's like, yeah, they're better players. They've earned the spot. There probably is some level of gap between the guys who are already locked in and the guys who are fighting for it. But if those guys choose to play one of these events, it's probably for strong reasons. It's either a place they really like, or they've had success at before. Maybe they feel like their game is in great shape. There's really just no pressure to play any of these events. So if they tee it up, you think they might have a really good chance of winning it.
Those guys inside the top 50 are playing for nothing except a tournament. You know, it's like Theegala playing the Outlaw Tour event, right? I want to play a tournament. So I'm going to find a tournament, and you have them here, but it doesn't benefit them in points. They're in all the events next year. They can take the fall completely off. Some guys won't want to do that, but you know, this group of guys who are in the top 50, I think it's pretty easy to look at the names and say, okay, well, the best players in this field were near the top of the leaderboard. I'm not sure that's going to happen every week, but it definitely happened this week. You also, I mean, Max Homa, Justin Thomas, do they play if there's no Ryder Cup upcoming? I know Cam Davis lives in Seattle, so he it's very interesting. But it's probably the closest event to him on the PGA Tour, would be my guess.
Could you pick a worse place to live as a professional golfer?
It's a strange place to live.
Like Minneapolis?
Well, you're at least in the middle of the country there. I mean,
actually, you're right. Seattle
Australia.
See, yeah. In the United States, in the lower 48, I mean, like the Seahawks always have the longest travel schedule in the NFL.
Yeah, you're far from everywhere.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but he really likes it. He's happy about it.
It's a great pool.
I think that's why he played this week. It's close. I wouldn't surprise me if he didn't play it. Yeah, that's a home game, right?
I gotta play it. It's 1,000 miles from where I live.
Yeah,
closer than that. I'll tell you what. To put a bow on Cam Davis. So his last handful of events: T10, T7, T6, 40th at the BMW Championship, and then a good finish here. So he's obviously in good form.
Hey, he should keep playing because he'll hold the trophy this fall if he does.
Definitely.
All right, quickly on two guys. Justin Thomas was the big storyline coming into this event. He finished in solo fifth, 15 under par, rounds of 69, 67, 65, 72. Sunday, not nearly as strong as the rest of the week. Patrick, did he do enough to kind of silence the critics and maybe at least buy him a couple of rest days before he gets thrown under the microscope again when he gets to Italy?
No, absolutely not. The people will still be chirping Justin Thomas. You saw it with their front. No, look, I'm not a critic of Justin Thomas. I'm number one. I'm like Theegala's dad in Justin Thomas's camp right now. That's the way I'm rolling into Rome, into the Ryder Cup. And really, it was just the front nine got away from him. He entered the day having hit 34 of his last 36 greens in regulation. You look at the front nine there, he only hit 3. It was not good at all. He hit one fairway that came on number 1. And when you bogey the par 5 fifth, add a couple more bogeys. But for him to really settle down, he hit all 9 greens on the back 9, had that nice eagle there on the 12th and took advantage of the par 5s. Look, I thought it was a nice, well-rounded effort. The iron play looked a lot sharper. Mm-hmm. And the thing I've been saying about Justin Thomas is the good's going to be good, but the bad is a lot worse than it has been before. And I think around like today, I know it's 72 around here isn't a stellar score, but he still manufactured shots, got around the place that was playing. It was firm and fast out there. It was, no rain out there in Napa. So for him to kind of put together a round like he did today, come in at even par, I thought it was some good adversity, and he faced it head on. And I was impressed with Justin Thomas. I think he's going to go 3-0-0 in Rome.
Okay. Well, hold on. Save those takes. We got 2 weeks. The statistical profile, Greg, pretty good. A 0, slight positive off the tee. We'll take that. 6th in approach. You gained 5 strokes. That is exactly where you want Justin Thomas to be. He gained another 2.8 around the green. He has a world-class short game, but he gained strokes putting a lot in round 1, a lot in round 2, a lot in round 3, and he was basically 0 in round 4. Overall, 18th in strokes gained putting for the week, over 3 strokes. It's a good combination.
Yes, very good combination. Perhaps a little misleading or concern. There's still a hidden concern for me. I mean, I'll say this. Watching Justin Thomas this week, I don't look at a player whose game is broken. I don't look at a guy. He didn't look lost to me. But I think he understands what he needs to do to have success and showed he can do it. So those are positives. The negatives are 2 days where he hit 3 fairways one day and 4 fairways another day in the first and the 4th round. Now, you see the rough here in Napa, and it's a non-issue. There are some trees. He was under trees a lot, far too often. And it really limits his ability to hit iron shots. But the real issue is when you get to Rome and you're dealing with really thick rough. is that a reliable partner? And that raises a big question. I don't know what it's going to look like. Everything I've heard is the rough is really long. It's a quirky golf course. Now the rough was really long in Paris too, and he went 4-1. So, and he wasn't accurate then either. So it's a hard thing to figure out. But my area of concern is definitely with his driving accuracy. I feel a little better about his putting. It's kind of hit or miss, but it felt a little more like old Justin Thomas. And the iron play was good, but he's got to hit it in play to give himself those opportunities. And he struggled with that in round 1 and round 4.
21 fairways he hit this week over 4 days. Did you see he was also...
That was 64th, by the way.
He was aim pointing. Did you see that?
Really?
Yeah. I don't think he did it every time, but I did catch him throwing a couple fingers up.
So he's been doing that since the Wells Fargo, and then him and his putter coach separated. RIP to them. And he was working with Steve Stricker in Rome, and I'm very encouraged anytime you can have Steve Stricker look at your putting stroke, and who knows if it's just a flash in the pan, like Greg suggests. History certainly suggests it could be, but if Justin Thomas is making putts and he's confident on the greens, that is a very welcome sight.
Speaking of Steve Stricker, he won again on the senior tour. So congrats to Steve Stricker. All right, gents, let's probably take a break here. I was going to talk about Max Homa. Max Homa T7 in his title defense. It's like it's the perfect finish to not really talk about it. It was like, yeah, he played well. That's what we expected. No concerns. He's going to be in Rome. Hat tip. Your run of wins here is over. You played great. We're all very happy for you. I think I covered it all.
Yeah. Well done.
Okay.
Very well done.
We will hit the BMW PGA Championship. We will recap our bets, but first we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
We need the sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
And we're back. The European squad went to work at Wentworth. All 12 of them, 12, played at the BMW PGA Championship. And Patrick, all 12 of them made the cut. 9 of them finished 18th or better. The leaderboard littered with guys who will don the blue and yellow, or maybe like yellow and red, or whatever they end up going with in 2 weeks. None of them won the event. We'll get to that guy in a second, but a lot of positives to take away from the Euros.
Maybe a little burnt orange and brown. I don't know who they tapped for that color combination, but it seems to be a hot one in the European streets.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't this all relative, right? There weren't, like, I saw all these European reporters and media members who I have the utmost respect for.
Oh boy, here we go. But
and it's
going to be a big spot.
It's just screenshots of the leaderboard, like, oh, Luke Donald is smiling in his hotel room right now, or something along those lines.
Oh, Luke like, Donald is a great chap, or whatever.
It's like, okay, guys, like, are we shocked that 12 best European players are playing well? Like, I understand the hype where it's the last tournament for all these guys before the Ryder Cup. I think Bobby Mack is playing next week at Le Golf National. But the other 11 are done for the next week or so. But yeah, it was impressive. Could you be concerned about that final group? Ludwig didn't have his best stuff. Tommy Fleetwood. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, it is painful to watch him in contention because you want him to win so badly. He left a 3.5 footer for birdie short.
Yeah.
Short.
Sunday Tommy.
That is nearly impossible to do.
It's tough. It's a tough watch.
So naturally he's going to turn into the Terminator in Rome. That's just going to, so I can eat my words. But it is it's a great thing for Europe. I'm really happy for them to see Jon Rahm, who had kind of been struggling there in the FedEx Cup playoffs, to come back and play well. Hatton looked like it was his tournament for most of Sunday. And then Hovland's Hovland. I mean, just an absolute beast, and Rory's Rory. So, yes, fantastic result. Luke Donald smiling in his hotel room, super happy for him, happy for my European counterparts. But, I mean, Billy Horschel finished pretty high in this field, and Billy Horschel hasn't been playing well this entire year. So just maybe take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a little grain of salt.
Here's the finishing positions. Humor me here. Terrell Hatton, runner-up. Jon Rahm, 4th. Victor, 5th. Tommy Fleetwood, 6th, despite shooting a 72 on Sunday. Rory, T7. Ludwig shot a 76 on Sunday. Pretty ugly. Final round, he finishes in a tie for 10th with Sepp Straka. Matt Fitzpatrick, Shane Lowry, both T18. Justin Rose, T36. Bobby Mack, T45. And Nikolai Højgaard, T64. Greg, that's your European Ryder Cup team. The man who got it done was Ryan Fox. 18 under par, 69, 68, 66, 67. So he is the one who earns the little trophy. He earns the number 1. He earns all the cash. He's your winner.
Yes. And maybe looking forward to the President's Cup next year. I'm not sure.
He was a guy that I thought got snubbed from the last President's Cup.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And showing that he can compete with these guys is great. We know Ryan Fox is a great player. We know Aaron Rye is a great player. And it's awesome to be able to make a really clutch putt like that, because everybody had opportunities on 18. You know, Rye lips out for eagle, and Hatton has an eagle putt and misses. And I think Rahm had an eagle putt on 18 as well. Mm-hmm. That would have tied him for the lead, and he missed. So there were a lot of really cool things going on, and it's great when you make birdie on the last hole to win a tournament by 1. Really exciting stuff for Ryan Fox. But I cannot agree with Patrick more. We're not looking at the Fortinet leaderboard saying, well, both the Americans finished in the top 7.
Maybe we should.
You know, like they did. The only 2 American Ryder Cup players finished in the top 7 on the PGA Tour this week. But it's expected. And when you look at a DP World Tour field, there's no Americans playing. I know Billy Horschel's playing, but there's no, like, that entire half of the competition is not there. You know, it's not overly surprising to me, right? This is all of the best players on that tour playing together and taking all the money. You know, the really impressive thing is Ludwig Aberg. I know he shot 76 today, but boy, his performance through 54 holes makes you feel like, okay, I made the right pick. If the wonderful chap that is Luke Donald. Then you look at Tommy Fleetwood, and you know that Sunday Tommy is a tough watch, and you also know it doesn't matter in Rome. And I kind of feel the same way for Ludwig. I don't think you're going to get that kind of situation out of these guys. Whatever it is that makes it hard to win on the PGA Tour, they don't seem to play with that when they get to a Ryder Cup, especially in Europe. So I think this team is strong. We knew they were strong. They're a lot stronger than they looked a year ago, and even stronger than they looked 2 years ago. And it's a solid team, and we're up for a great battle against them.
Odds makers,
not surprising.
Odds makers, Patrick, have the Europeans at the shortest price I have seen in the last 2 years or so. They are plus 125 to the United States is plus 120. Even as recently as 2 weeks ago, this was probably plus 150. 3 weeks ago, it was probably plus 180. A little bit longer than that, it was plus 200. So either steam is coming in on the Euros, or odds makers are adjusting based on what they've seen in the last month or so.
I think it has gone too far.
I actually agree.
Yeah. And look, I understand you add someone like Ludwig in the mix, and his third round was flat out filthy. He looked like the, oldest guy out there. He could not miss at all. And when he did, it was in the exact right places. I thought today was pretty surprising how he got about there. But like, come on, guys. Like Scotty Scheffler, if you throw him in the Fortinet field, what is he going to do? He's probably going to win or finish second. Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, all these guys. And I understand the want for – I actually do kind of have a bone to pick with all these people, United States citizens, jumping on the European bandwagon. Like, what are we doing here, guys? It's not trendy or cute or cool to be like, oh, I'm a European fan. Why? Like, that is just so dumb. So to those people, figure it out. Okay, go take a tour of the monuments this weekend in Washington, D.C. Come back to me and root on the red, white, and blue. It's gone too far. This is the year the United States breaks a streak because they're just underrated, chip on their shoulder, a bit slighted by media and prognosticators alike. And I know they definitely hear and read about all this stuff. It's almost are you a believer, Deion Sanders type of situation right now. And they might need to get him in the locker room in Rome.
Are you concerned that when I get to Trevi Fountain, I'm going to be so moved and going to adopt Italy and Europe as my rooting interest moving forward? I'm going to see the monuments. What if that happens?
Trevi Fountain will make it so you root for the United States 10 times harder with the amount of people that are there.
Rick, what are you going to wear?
Dude, I don't know.
Can you buy the sweater, the team sweater, and just wear that all week?
I have to crowdfund it. It's like a $550 sweater, isn't it?
I'm fine with you wearing anything as long as it's red, white, and blue.
What if I wear? You know what I'll wear? The hat they gave us at the PGA Championship that just says media across the front, which might as well be a Target. Like, I can't believe they handed those things out. The last thing I want anyone to know is that I'm part of the crooked golf media.
Scarlet letter.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, I'll just put this in the closet. I did get so they have the very classy, just the Ryder Cup logo polos. It's just the trophy. And it's neutral colors. Maybe I'll just wear that. I have a silly question that I think I know the answer to, but I want to run it by you guys. Josh, do we have the leaderboard still from the DP World Tour? Is there a way we could pull that up? Thank you. All right, scroll all the way down to the bottom. Like all the way. Like literally to the bottom. Yeah. Okay. So what's the difference between a WD and a retired?
I'm guessing they did not come back because Friday was pretty late, correct? And so maybe they didn't finish their round and they just said, I'm retiring.
Okay.
Are they done with professional golf?
Right. They've literally retired. I think is what it is if you stop playing in the middle of a round, you've retired. If you finish your round and then withdraw from the event, you have withdrawn. I believe
makes sense.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Because if you look at that, Matthew Southgate, it says, it looks like he shot a 71 and then withdrew, but I think he had taken 71 strokes in the first round and retired. I think. Okay. But I didn't know if that.
I've never seen that before.
It's always like that. But there was a lot of them this week because of what Patrick said, which is like there was like the late.
Yeah, the fog, the mayhem.
Exactly. Okay. Anything else DP World Tour that we should cover, or else we'll do our best bets and we'll send Patrick to bed. Anything else?
Yeah, let's do it. Need to get my 8.
Yeah, you got to get your solid 8. Okay, we are going to go over the best bets, and then we're going to tuck Patrick in after a quick word from our partners.
Get your team ready to move.
Welcome, enjoy the show.
Celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month.
I don't mind that.
With stories of heroes.
Everything's gonna be just fine.
Home.
I love it here. This town, the people.
And honor.
You need to remember what you're fighting for.
Celebrate today. And every day.
Oh, cheers to that. Salud.
Explore the One Mountain Una Familia collection on Paramount Plus. Stream now.
And we're back. The bets. After starting our new season, we wiped the slate clean and we got off to a pretty darn good start here. That is 3 out of 4 matchups. Mark got Kuchar over Gim. I got Cole over Putnam. And Patrick, you got Shea Reve over Webb Simpson.
Yeah, Mr. Napa Valley himself, Mr. Wine Country. Ches Reavie got the job done for me. I was a little nervous at first because Webb Simpson got off to a really nice start. And then I checked on Friday and he was like 3 over. And I was like,
yeah, he was 3 under through his first 9, but shot a 73, 1 over, and then shot a 74 on Friday. Now he hits it 300 yards. Did not hit it 300 yards this week and still missed the cut.
Yeah, it's coming though, Rick. And look, lifetime undefeated in FedEx Cup fall matchups. So nice to keep that trend going.
Yeah, for sure. Finishing positions, 2 out of 4 here. I went with Doug Gim, top 20, cash it. And Patrick, look at you, undefeated in FedEx Cup fall finishing position wagers. Max Homa, top 10.
Yeah, you get Max Homa in the state of California. You bet on him in some way, shape, or form. This week it was a top 10 at plus money, which it probably should not have been in this field, and happy to come through for the loyal listeners.
Now, Greg, our outrights were a bit of this, a bit of that. We had some DP World Tour. We had some PGA Tour. We had some DP World Tour first round leaders. I scanned through all of them, and I do not see one single Sahith, nor do I see one single Ryan Fox. So wipe the board.
Yeah, disappointing. A lot of good plays. I see what you're doing with Billy Horschel, taking the flyer long shot.
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have stayed in the Fortinet for my ivory tower. I also would have played Sahith Theegala.
I was going to say, who would you have picked? And you would have got there. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
No, I would have. I had 2 guys. I was telling everybody that would listen. I liked Akshay Bhatia, who missed the cut by a shot. He would have been in the outright 1 slot, and Sahith would have been in the outright 2 slot. Which kind of, it's a strange thing because there was not really a compelling reason. It looked a little better, didn't look great, but it just felt like he was going to play really well. So those were the 2 horses that I really liked. And it would have come through, which would have been nice. But I would have stayed away from the DP World Tour, I think, because it's so hard to figure out.
That tour is so chaotic. If you ever want to wake up early on Sunday and watch guys puke all over themselves, throw on the DP World Tour. It is insane what happens at the end of those events.
Yes. And that's typically what I'll watch is you're seeing the last couple of holes. And all of a sudden, someone who wasn't even on the leaderboard has gotten into the lead, and they played 1 hole. It's crazy.
It's so now this was a little bit better because you have the top end talent, but it is usually like a battle of 2 300-to-1 golfers trying to actively lose the tournament. It is it's awesome entertainment. I love it.
And great golf swings.
Yeah. Oh, the best.
Not kidding. They just are awesome. I always marvel at it. But anyway, that's all I got.
Our best bets, where we get an extra $50, we put it on anything. Wow. Are we hot? So much green on this board here. Mark went with Ryan Moore at plus 550 to finish inside the top 20. Ryan Moore finished T45. Other than that, cash them all. Dylan Wu, top 40, no problem. Min Woo Lee, top 20. Yes, sir. And Patrick, the positivity parlay. I believe this is the first time it's ever hit. Tommy Fleetwood, Minwoo Lee, Alexander Bjork, Aaron Rai to all make the cut at the BMW PGA Championship. Not a single problem to be had there. Cash it plus 150. Congratulations.
Thank you. I very much appreciate that. A true where were you type moment when this came through Friday. And I'm very happy. Like I said, we only have the bets to deal with during the fall, as opposed to the bets and the one and done. As Brandon Chambly would say, it's a bit of sensory blitzkrieg.
Great reference.
For me personally. So I can just focus on the bets, and this is what happens. The first of many. Maybe we can sportsbook to boost it or something in the future. But very, very happy.
Well done. Well done there. All right, gents. Well, listen, it is not technically Ryder Cup week. I guess it's technically Solheim Cup week. That'll be fun. Next week, we seem like we're going to have a special guest. I'm not going to announce it. I don't announce these things until we have it in the bag because anything can happen. But I think we're going to have a special guest. We're going to do a couple of special episodes. We're going to see what happens. I'm going to fly to Rome. Things are going to be very good. I'm off. Any last tips?
Avoid restaurants that have pictures on their menu.
Why? Because is that just like they're trying to get the tourists?
Yeah, you don't want to go there.
Is it true that I'm gonna have to I gotta pay to use the restroom?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
I recommend face paint, stars and stripe face paint.
There it is. There it is.
No, I don't think that'll be happening. But I appreciate the tip. It's a good, decent idea. Okay. Well, pleasure, gents. Any final thoughts, or are we good to go?
Let's get Patrick his 8.
All right, Patrick. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. We'll talk to you soon. Big thanks for now. Producer Josh is all the hard work behind the scenes. Patrick McDonald, you can find him on Twitter at amateur status. Greg DuCharme at the real GFT. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.